Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TNT Podcast. Today, I will be attempting to convince my dad that the Tennessee Wildman exists.
Of course he exists. I've seen him before.
You seen him before?
I've seen him before.
I can't wait.
I've seen him a bunch of times.
Yeah?
Matter of fact, I fish with him. He lives across the road. His name is Cousin Donnie.
Okay.
He's the original Tennessee Wildman.
This is a different kind of Wildman.
Oh, different than Donnie?
Yes. There has been reports of Wildmen, some Bigfoot-type creatures, and others just called feral humans, dating all the way back to the 1800s. They've been accused of stealing children and livestock.
Children and livestock. If he stole my children, he'd bring them back in half hour and we'd argue over who they belong to now.
I feel a bit targeted in that one, with that statement. Now, the part of Tennessee where the wild man lives is in the thick forest around the Great Smoky Mountains. According to the internet...
According to the internet...
What?
That's just like saying, according to the National Enquirer, oh, you can believe everything you read on the internet, right? I forgot.
According to the internet, there are a large amount of people who believe feral humans exist. According to these people, the Park Service keeps these feral people a secret because they're afraid it will hurt tourism in the area.
Right. Now that makes sense. Got to keep the money flowing in, right?
Yeah, that's the theory. That's what they think.
Okay.
The first reported encounter was in 1871, and then another one in 1877 when a man named Luke Magnet saw the creature from a distance of 40 yards. He claimed that it stood 7.5 feet tall and ran as fast as a deer. He stated that...
Hey, hold it right there a minute.
What now?
I have a problem with this Maggot fella.
Magnet?
Did you say Maggot?
Magnet.
Maggot says it's running as fast as a deer, and he can tell you it's 7.5 feet tall. It's not 8, it's not 7. But he can tell it's 7.5 feet tall while it's running like a deer. Now, this guy's good. I mean, he could have been a little bit more specific. He could have said it's 7'6" and 1/4 inch.
He stated that when the creature saw him, it pounded its chest and raced into the forest. So, yeah, maybe he saw that, and that's how he knew the measurement. He stated that it had a funnel-shaped head.
Funnel-shaped? You mean like the top of the Wizard of Oz Tin Man's head?
No, like a cone shape.
Well, why didn't he say cone-shaped? He's real specific about everything else.
Moving on. To 1889. There was an article in the New York Times that mentioned the wild man being seen by citizens of Walker County, Georgia. The article stated that the wild man was extremely tall, covered in hair, and carries a stick in his hand.
A stick? That's probably to keep the horseflies off.
Why would he need a stick for that?
Yeah. You know, when you back, you have to swat out.
Why? Why? Why would
you can't reach around to your back.
The article goes on to call him fierce and untamable. One brave individual even worked up the courage to approach the creature and engage it in conversation, but was only met by a barrage of rocks. And at this point in the encounter...
Barrage of what?
Rocks.
Rocks.
And he turned around and ran for obvious reasons. I do the same thing.
Well, I guess he got his answer, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't get a conversation with him.
He's not very conversationalist.
No. Oh, you're about to learn more about that.
Maybe he ain't got much to say.
Oh, trust me, he does. The creature was spotted again in 1896. Some reports have stated that the color of this creature is light brown, and others have said he's dark orange, somewhere around there.
Naturally. I mean, this is close to the University of Tennessee with their garbage truck orange color, so you know anything lives there's got to be orange.
Despite different colors, has been the fact that every description, other than like the colors, has been the same. What are the odds of that? I mean he appeared...
Yeah,
what?
I mean, he's 7.5 feet tall with a funnel on his head. And he don't grow at all.
Yep.
Okay.
No, he does grow. What makes you think he doesn't grow?
He's 7.5 feet tall. He's stuck there. After 100 years, he's still 7.5 feet tall. But do go on with your sad story.
He appeared again in the 1970s when people built homes in the rugged forests. Another sighting was by a man named Rob Phillips in 1995. He didn't tell anyone for a long time, afraid people would think he's crazy.
No. Who would say something like that?
Mr. Phillips claimed he was in the forest when everything went silent. He then smelt something that smelled like rotten flesh. He looked
Hey,
up.
if I saw a hairy ape man, I'd blame the smell on him too. Right after I went home and changed out my britches.
He looked up and saw the wild man in a nearby tree. He said it stood 9 feet tall and had red eyes. It let out a ear-piercing scream. He immediately did what anybody would do, ran away. And he said that it was just standing 15
Wait a
feet
minute.
away from him.
Wait a minute. So it did grow since the 1970s. How tall you say it is now?
He didn't say anything about how tall it is.
You did?
He said he was standing just 15 feet. Oh, he's 9 feet tall. My bad.
Oh,
did
he
say
done
that.
grew a foot and a half.
I forgot I said
I
that.
was getting concerned maybe he wasn't getting enough nourishment, you know.
And in 2012, Matt Sieber claimed to see it. He described it like the others, but said it was growling and chasing his dog. Now, there are some anonymous reports from people without saying their names in the last few years saying they also saw the wild man. One person claimed to have heard something walking on 2 legs, and it made the sound of what he thought was a or caveman.
Wait a minute. I gotta say something about that.
I know you do. That's why I paused.
How many cavemen has this guy heard before? I mean, how many cavemen have you heard before? I'm calling bull on that.
Well, you know what a caveman probably sounded like.
No, I don't.
Ooga booga and all that.
Not hearing one.
Our dogs are acting crazy back there. Here are some of the notable characteristics of the Tennessee Wildman. Well, for one thing, it's known to be aggressive, especially towards women and dogs. And
Hold on.
What now?
What are you insinuating with that women and dogs thing?
What do you mean?
You're putting women and dogs on the same level. I didn't know you were such a male chauvinist.
I never... Chauvinist?
Yeah.
Just let me finish this. Also another thing, it's really fast. Like much faster than a human, and produces a spine-tingling scream.
Maybe he had his foot stuck in a steel trap. You know, that'll make you scream. Make you move fast, too.
Now, you always say there's no evidence. That it's all just a bunch of hearsay, he say, all that. But this time, there is some evidence that this thing is real. According to Forest and Stream magazine in 1896, 4 hunters encountered the wild man. They reported that he had talon-like fingernails and toenails.
You and him got a lot in common.
Neither
one of y'all clip your toenails. You might... What? What's that look for?
What?
I'm just making a statement.
I cut my toenails literally a week ago.
It's the first time for everything. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm going. This wild man had tusks or fangs for teeth, and his hair was down to his waist.
You catching up with him on that, too? I'm going to start calling you the Alabama wild man.
Can you just let me do this?
Sure, sorry.
No, you're not. The magazine reported that the 3 hunters attempted to capture this wild man, but he was too strong for them and broke free.
Oh, they're the likeness with you ends, Mr. Spaghetti Arms. They'd have caught you.
I've been recently thinking about working out.
Okay, thinking about it'll help.
A posse soon returned to the area and did manage to capture this wild man.
They did?
Yeah.
They captured him?
They captured him. And they carried him to an asylum where he lived peacefully.
What?
Yes. Okay. I know it's comical, but that's actually what happened. They
let Sasquatch in an asylum?
Yeah.
I'd like to see the psychiatrist. Come in, Mr. Squatch. Sit down on the couch right there and tell me how you feel about it.
That wasn't what he did. He didn't talk about his feelings. He's an ape.
Okay. You say so.
They reported that the only way he could communicate was by waving his arms and grunting loudly. Yeah? I feel like you got something to say.
No.
You normally do when I say stuff like that.
No. I just sighed. I'm sorry.
Another wild man was met by a hunting party. They claimed he swung through the trees like a monkey and could only repeat the phrase, "Give me some grass."
I assure you that's the last thing he needs right now is more weed.
People have different reactions to these wild men. Some attempt to capture him, while others just want to straight up kill him. One encounter with the wild man happened in Idaho, when some German immigrant met a wild man. They hit him in the head with an axe and killed him instantly.
That'll fix it.
You,
Did it tame him up any?
what do you mean, did it tangle him up?
Tame him.
Oh,
You
no.
call him a wild man. I thought hitting him in the head with an axe might tame him.
It definitely knocked something into him.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
All right, this is something we might not want to joke too much about. In 1969, in the Great Smoky Mountains, the Martin family went camping in the mountains and during the day walked to a place called Spencefield. They met another family, ironically, also named Martin. Both families happened to have 2 boys. The boys were between the age of 6 and 10. And as boys do, the 4 would go ahead of the adults, hide on a trail, jump out and scare them. The youngest, named Dennis, was wearing a red shirt and stuck out like a sore thumb. The other boys, not wanting to be spotted, forced Dennis to hide on the other side of the trail alone. When the adults reached the spot where they were waiting, everyone jumped out except for Dennis. His father had watched him hide behind a shrub in the field and never saw him leave that spot. Dennis wouldn't answer when called. Then, his father actually ran 2 miles down the trail and searched for him, but he didn't find him anywhere. What followed was the largest rescue operation that ever occurred in that park. The FBI arrived, and later a group of Green Berets from a nearby army
Berets?
base.
Are
Yeah,
you talking about green berets like Rambo? What's a green beret?
that's how it's spelled.
Oh, okay. If that's how it's spelled, you're probably right. Go on. Sorry.
It was reported that the Green Berets operated on their own channel.
Beret!
You said I was probably right.
You're never right.
I think I'm right most of the time. They reported that the Green Berets
Thank you.
operated on their own channel and did not cooperate with the searches. They supposedly went out at night and killed as many wild men as they could find. A report came from the family in Cades Cove who were looking for bears. They were in the forest, and they heard something crashing through the woods and saw a hairy man-like creature come through the woods carrying something red over its back, and Dennis Martin was never found. The year prior to that, in 1968, a 3-year-old girl became lost in the woods of Michigan. They found the girl the following day, and she looked as though someone had cleaned her up and combed her hair. When they asked her how she survived, she reported that a large bear had ate the hat off of her head, but it kept her warm and fed her berries out of his hand. Is that funny to you?
Oh, well, it's a bit odd, you don't think?
It's odd.
He eats her hat, but he don't eat her.
You like
But he
that?
feeds her and gives her his berries.
You like the hat?
Oh, what was that hat made out of? Chocolate.
So what we are dealing with here is 2 different types of wild men. This is what I believe.
Natural.
Some are actually just feral humans. Someone who's given up civilized life and gone off to live off with animals for some reason or another. Maybe they have a mental illness. But my other idea of what a wild man could be is just a literal Sasquatch. What else? It
What
eats
else?
berries, lives in the woods, has long hair, can only
Eats hats.
say certain sentences. Why are you so? Can only say.
So, is it the wild men that are saying the sentences or the Sasquatch?
I believe it's the Sasquatch.
The Sasquatch is saying, give me some more weed, man.
Because the wild men could still talk. Because they
Oh.
were once normal men.
Of course.
But then they became wild men. They no longer normal
Oh.
men.
So the Sasquatch says, give me some more weed, man.
Yeah. Because it's learning off the wild men.
Oh, now I got it.
They work together.
It all coming together now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you actually believe me this time? So,
No, I'm agreeing with you. That don't mean I believe you.
So I think
What? Is this have I been convinced? Huh?
this is how have you been convinced time, and a time for you to give me a ranking on 1 to 10. There are literal missing cases according to this. You cannot tell me something's not up here.
Well, we're gonna have to rate them separate.
The 2 different wild men.
Yeah, because I mean, somebody could go off in the woods and just, like Eric Rudolph.
Then why
He
did you-
went off in the woods and lived like 15 years before they caught him because he blew up the Olympics and a bunch of other stuff. But
Why did you bring Eric into this?
I'm just saying, you can go off in the woods and live like that if you want to. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
a man can't.
That's true. That's true.
So a feral human Feral means he went wild, though, so that means he's not tame anymore. Now, I don't know if he can go feral. But now that's a little bit different than a Sasquatch. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you believe that?
So I believe what?
That you believe it's
I
possible?
believe it's possible.
So what rating do you give it?
Which one?
What do you give the Sasquatch?
I give him a 1.
Okay. Dude, what do you give the wild man himself?
I'm going to give that a 4. That's possible.
Another 4?
Well, it's possible somebody could go, especially if he's got a mental problem. He could have went and lived in the woods.
Wait.
Now the odds of the Green Berets out there shooting them at night,
Wait.
I ain't buying that.
So I didn't convince you that a cryptid is real. I just convinced you that hairy men can live in the woods.
Yeah, a feral human's possible, yeah. You don't agree with that?
But yeah, that's not what I'm trying to convince you of, though. I'm trying to
You're trying to convince me that
cryptids and paranormal.
Well,
maybe these guys use other sciences.
You know what Einstein said about them other sciences, though?
What did Einstein say?
He says a bunch of load of garbage.
I don't think he said that.
I read his book.
What book? He made a book?
Yeah, I read the book about him.
About him, or he wrote?
I think it's about him.
What did it say?
He said other scientists were full of garbage and he wasn't.
Maybe it's using his science then.
No, I don't think so.
You never know.
He wouldn't have his science tied to no Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster.
Einstein didn't even make good grades. Why are we listening to him?
He's the smartest man I know.
You don't know him.
Smart.
Yet he made a C in math.
Well, he was smarter than me in math. I made a D.
That's fair.
But anyway, you got your ratings.
I got my ratings.
So you tied your old high score.
Maybe the next one I'll get a 5.
Maybe so. You never know. What's the next one?
Maybe I'll find out what cryptid you actually believe in.
Yeah. When you gonna get to him?
Well, I'm waiting. It's a him? That's a hint.
Well, it could be a him. I don't know if it's a him or her. I didn't check.
It's a dude?
I don't know. I didn't check.
Well, why did you call it a he then? That's a hint.
That's me. I call everything a he.
That's probably sexist.
Well, I'll just be joining your club, Mr. Chauvinist.
I'm not a chauvinist.
A while ago, you compared dogs with women.
I didn't compare dogs to women.
Okay, we're going to have to go. These dogs is getting out of control.
Speaking of
you
dogs...
You got this one mad at you because you compared him to a woman, and he don't appreciate it.
That's more chauvinist than what I said.
Take it up with him.
I think I'm going to end this episode here. I think we've progressed a little bit. We are getting average higher scores. I think if we got like the math of all my rankings, it'd be like a B+. Because I keep getting high scores.
Yeah. TNT out.
That was great.